So today, in honor of our nation's Independence Day, July 4th, we decided we were going to go out and pay a visit to some grave sites of Revolutionary War soldiers who, after the war, migrated to the Western Reserve here in Ohio. So although the 4th of July is an excellent time for family and friends to get together and celebrate with picnics and fireworks, we also wanted to take the time and remind everybody that the 4th of July is about our nation's independence. And we wanted to celebrate those people who fought for that independence. So if you're curious,
let's take a walk through history.
What they say. We're in the old Hudson Township burying ground. We've been here before. This is where Owen and Ruth Brown, the parents of John Brown, are buried. It was a previous video. Put a link of it in the description for you. Here are a few Revolutionary War veterans, notably two of them that we're going to talk about now. Both of them are named Stephen Thompson. Yes, Stephen Thompson Sr. and Jr. Deacon Stephen Thompson Sr. was born April 20th, 1734 in New Haven, Connecticut, and he married Mary Walter on January 3rd, 1760. From June 1776 to the close of the Revolutionary War, Stephen Thompson Sr. served his country nobly. He and his son Stephen T. Jr. fought side by side, taking active part in the battles of Long Island, White Plains, Germantown, Stony Point, the Siege of Yorktown, and Valley Forge, also in the campaigns about New York and Philadelphia with General Washington. They were with George Washington at Valley Forge when Cornwallis surrendered. After the war, the state of Connecticut decided to partly pay the soldiers who fought in the Revolutionary War with land located in the Western Reserve in Ohio. Dr. Moses Thompson, third son of Stephen Sr., went with Captain David Hudson to the Western Reserve to locate land for the families and clear off spaces and plant some crops so they would be ready to harvest when they got their families moved out in the fall of 1800. The group consisted of Stephen, his wife Mary, 6 of their children, and their spouses. All lived in a log house, a 20 by 30 foot log house, so all of them lived in this one room, 20 by 30 foot log house together. They had to sleep on the floor that was made of split white pine logs, enduring all the discomforts that goes with living in those conditions, until they could each finish building their individual homes here in Hudson. Jason Hammond served in the American Revolutionary War at the age of 17. Following the war, he became a farmer, miller, and merchant near Manchester, Connecticut. Jason married Rachel Hale, and they had 6 children. After a long illness followed by financial difficulties, Jason sold his mercantile business and purchased 1,100 acres in the Western Reserve from the Connecticut Land Company.
At one time, Bath was known as Hammondsburg, since Jason Hammond was the first permanent settler to legally purchase land in this area.
The Hammond family shared a cabin built by a squatter for 8 years. In 1818, construction on a wooden structure, Hammond Homestead, began. Hammond's property included bottomland in the Cuyahoga Valley as well as land running up along the southern slope of Ira Hill to what is now Cleveland-Massillon Road. It is at the intersection of Ira Road and Cleveland-Massillon that the beginnings of the hamlet of Hammond's Corners took shape.
Today, Hammond's Corner is just a regular intersection in Bath. But back in the 1800s, it was the center of commerce for the region. It sported Witchcraft's General Store, Jagger's Buggy Repair Shop, a post office, the Landmark Inn, a doctor's office, a schoolhouse, and a cheese factory.
Thousands of motorists drive past Bettis Corners Cemetery every day without even knowing it's there. Nathaniel Bettis was born in 1752 in West Springfield, Massachusetts, and joined the call for independence after British soldiers clashed with colonists in Lexington and Concord in April 1775. As a Minuteman, Bettis served in the Siege of Boston. He joined Colonel Benedict Arnold's regiment up in Quebec, and he also fought at the Battle of Ticonderoga. He was promoted to sergeant in 1777 at West Point, New York, and spent the winter of 1778 with George Washington's Continental Army at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, battling starvation, illness, and frostbite. In the spring of 1778, they went to Monmouth, where his gun discharged and actually injured his left hand. So his musket had a firing problem, and it injured his left hand that gave him limited use for the rest of his life. Then they went to Providence and on to Rhode Island. They were engaged in battle by the Hessians, and Nathaniel stated that he faced the bayonet 3 times and was wounded twice in the leg. In April of 1780, after years of service, he petitioned General George Washington for an honorable discharge. It was a very eloquently penned request, and General Washington agreed to the discharge. For his service, Bettis received 500 acres from the state of Massachusetts and an additional 150 acres in the Western Reserve in Ohio. About 1816, a nearly 65-year-old Bettis decided to move his family to Talmadge Township in the Western Reserve of Ohio. About 20 relatives took the 6-week journey in covered wagons drawn by oxen. The family settled in a double log cabin in a forested area northeast of the present-day intersection of Talmadge and Home Avenues, a crossing that became known as Bettis Corners. The Bettis family transformed the rugged landscape into a cozy home. The captain was 92 years old when he died in 1840, just months before the opening of the Ohio Canal, and he was buried up on the hill overlooking his homestead at Bettis Corners. It was an honor for us today to share these grave sites with you. If you would, please take some time out today and remember that today is about the birth of our nation.
Please follow us on social media. We now have a Patreon if you want to check that out. We also have merchandise, and all of that will be linked down in the description.
Okay, remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell.
Good job, buddy.
Happy Independence Day!
Happy Independence Day, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care!
Yeah. That's good. We'll take it. We'll take it. That's what we get.